Yo guys, so things have not been going well. It's been pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of you guys are like, "Oh, why are so many of the videos negative tone and things like that?" Well, sometimes poker doesn't go so smooth, especially when you're relying on it for your income, for your life, for a family. It can be tough. So, like I shared before, February and March did not go so well. March, I had an overall net negative month, which is like my first net negative month since going full time. Losing $1,000 in a month is not that bad, but when you combine, life expenses of like $7,500 a month to live,
Give me your fucking money!
then it definitely takes a toll on bankroll, life roll, all that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, when I started, my bankroll, life roll was really not where it should have been in order to take on this venture. But I figured, why not take the risk? Let's just try it. My wife and I are still relatively young, so we can fail if we really need to. But that's basically what it feels like it's come down to. I always worked with really thin margins, so it was always like, I need to make X amount of dollars in order for our family to survive. And having a couple months in a row that were not so good, the end of last year was not the best either. It's been tough. So here's the thing. Where are we today? Good news is my daughter is getting older, so my wife is going back to work, some part-time stuff that she's more passionate about. And so hopefully that'll take the load off. But in the meantime, I need to rebuild my bankroll. And right now it just doesn't seem super financially responsible to jump into the 5-5-10 game just from a bankroll management purpose. So I'm going back down to the 5-5. It kind of sucks from a mental perspective, but I think it's the more responsible thing to do. So I'm going to be grinding the 5-5. Hopefully you guys will enjoy some of that content. And then, as I rebuild, then I should make my way back up to the 5-5-10 and I don't know, maybe one day into bigger games. So thank you for listening to that intro. And with that, let's get into the session.
All right, here we go. My return to the 5-5 streets.
He's back! No!
I'm just kidding. But I am here to stay, put in my hours, build up my bankroll. I pick up ace-8 of hearts in the small blind. Cutoff opens to $15, and I'm starting this session with aggression. I 3-bet to $65. Cutoff calls, and we're off to a flop of Jack 3-5 rainbow. In 5-5, there's less 3-betting, so hopefully this guy gives me some respect. I c-bet $60. No respect. No respect at all. He goes all in for $260, and I have to fold. Let's try this again. I have ace-jack in the hijack. Under the gun opens to $15. I think the best play here is honestly just fold, but I'm here to establish some aggression. I 3-bet again, this time $45. Well, the button cold calls my 3-bet, which is quite concerning. He's gonna have a pretty strong hand. Under the gun calls 2, and we're off to a king-high flop. If only the under the gun called, I'd definitely be c-betting this flop, but the button adds a whole nother layer of defense, as I would have to get a bluff through 2 different people instead of just one. I just check. The button bets $75. Under the gun folds, I fold, and just like that, in the first 10 minutes, I'm down $175.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Come on, rally the troops, let's go. I pick up ace-3 of clubs in the hijack. There's a straddle to $10, so I open bigger this time to $35, and only the straddle calls. Heads up to a flop of king-8 for 2 hearts. This king-high board should be better for me as the pre-flop raiser, so after he checks, I start off with a small c-bet of $25. He makes the call, and we're off to a turn, which comes a deuce. This doesn't change anything. The flush draw didn't come in, none of the gut shot straight draws came in. This shouldn't improve him to 2 pair, so I think he'll have a tough time calling a big bet. I bet $110, nearly the size of the pot. Come on, man, fold! Fold! And he folds, and I take it down. Next up, pocket 5s in the big blind. There's a straddle, and the under the gun +1 opens to $30. I make the call, looking to set mine. Straddle calls 2, and we're 3 ways to a flop of 7, 6, 5. That's right, I hit a set. It's a bit of a dicey board, but I'm not complaining. I check to the pre-flop raiser, but before it gets to him, the straddle leads out for $40. Pre-flop raiser folds, actions on me. My opponent only has $160 total. If he has a draw, I want him to commit his stack now. I put him all in, and he makes the call. Turn is a beautiful one, a 6, improving me to a full house. River's a deuce, and he shows queen 8 of spades for a missed draw. I take another one down. Moving on, we got ace 10 off in the hijack. I opened at $20 and get called by the cutoff small blind and big blind. 4 ways to a flop of 9, 10, 5, 2 spades. This is a pretty nice flop for me, having top pair, top kicker, so when the action checks to me, I bet $50. It's pretty big. Typically in multi-way pots, you're gonna bet a little smaller, but there are tons of draws here to get value from. I don't wanna make it too cheap for them. Still, cutoff and big blind both think it's a fair price. They make the call, and the turn is the queen of spades. Big blind checks, and the action's on me. This turn, terrible. When I make a pretty big bet on the flop, the hands that will continue will be a 10, which I'd still be ahead of most likely, a flush draw, which I'm now dead to, or an open-ended straight draw, which Jack Queen is now beating me, Jack 8 has me dead. I am still beating 7-8. Either way, with 2 callers, I think it's very likely I don't have the best hand anymore. I check. Cutoff bets $45. Big blind makes the call. This is very tempting. It's a tiny, tiny bet. Less than 20% of the pot, but I'm just gonna go with my gut instinct. I don't think I'm good. I fold. River is a 4. Action goes check, check. Did I make a mistake? Cutoff shows ace 10 for the same hand as me, but big blind shows Jack Queen, wins the pot, so good fold to me. All right, ace queen off in the low jack. I opened to $20, and then the button 3 bets to $60. The big blind cold calls the $60, and it's on me. I don't like it. In lower stakes, 3-bet ranges are just so nutted. A lot of these players are just 3-betting big pocket pairs and ace king, which is not great for ace queen. I want to fold. I really want to fold, but I think it's a little too nitty. Let's see a flop. Okay, I call. Flop is king deuce 3. Big blind checks, I check. Button bets $75, and we both fold. Then ace jack under the gun +1. I open to $20. Small blind 3 bets to $55. Again, I get 3 bet. And sometimes you think, man, are these people just coming after me? But in low stakes especially, most often they just have it. This time I do fold, and small blind shows ace queen of spades. Now I have ace jack again, this time suited, this time on the button. Under the gun limps, I raise to $25. Folds back to the limper, he goes all in for $105. Normally, I'm super scared of limp re-raises, but when it's from a short stack, it really could be anything. A lot of times these players are on tilt, and it's more of a screw it kind of shove versus I only have aces and kings re-raise. So I make the call, he says he only has jack high. Very good news, we're in excellent shape. Even better, ace on the turn. Pack it up, boys, we got it. Unless he has something like jack 8 of clubs, you know, for the flush or what's that now? Oh, he has exactly jack 8 of clubs. Okay, let's move on to the next hand. All right, pocket 10s, under the gun limps, under the gun +1 limps. I raise to $35. The first limper makes the call, but then the second limper, he goes all in for $175. This is our jack 8 of clubs boy from the last hand. Time to get revenge. I go all in to get the first limper to clear the battlefield. Here we go. Mono e mono. He says he has ace queen. Hold! Hold! Yeah! After that much needed win, I pick up ace king on the button. The hijack limps, cutoff raises to $25, and pretty clear 3-bet here, I make it $75. Folds back to the hijack limper, who puts in the 4-bet to $200. Cutoff folds, and oh my gosh, this is a disgusting spot. This guy limps, gets raised, that guy gets re-raised, and he still wants to put in more money. I have about $800 in my stack. He has me covered. I just think this is so incredibly strong, like queens, kings, aces only. My camera ended up glitching, so I don't have the footage, but I fold. Later, I found out he had pocket aces. Then I pick up ace jack of hearts in the hijack. Under the gun opens to $20. I decide once again to 3-bet. I make it $60. Then under the gun, 4 bets to $165. Dude, why? Why is this happening? It's like every time. And as much as I want to be stubborn, I think the best move is fold, so I fold, and he flashes me ace-king before mucking his cards. Thank goodness. Thank you, man, if you're watching this, for showing me. Fast forward to later, I get ace-king of hearts in the cutoff. I'm getting a lot of good hands, but not really the greatest results. Hopefully this one's different. The hijack limps. I raise to $25 and get called by the small blind and hijack limper. 3 ways to a flop of deuce, 6, 7, 2 hearts. Action checks to me, and I decide to bet pretty big, $50. I have 2 overs and the nut flush draw, but I'd also be doing this with a number of overpairs. Anyway, the small blind calls, hijack folds, and we're heads up to a turn, which comes a 3. No help to me. However, I'm going to keep telling the story I have a big overpair. It should put a lot of pressure on single pair holdings. I bet $200 over the size of the pot. Small blind thinks for a while. I'm like, please fold, man, please. And he folds, and I take it down. Next up, I have jack 9 of clubs on the button. Low jack opens to $15. I'm in position. I go for the rare flat call. I don't do this often. I prefer to raise or fold most hands, but anyway, the big blind puts in a 3 bet to $45. Low jack calls. This is a tiny 3 bet. I'm in position. It's only $30 more to call for a pot that will be $140 total. I'm just getting too good of a price. Hopefully I flop a monster. Fingers crossed. I make the call, and we're 3 ways to a flop of 6-6 deuce. Not a monster. Big blind does not c-bet. He checks. Interesting. Low jack checks too. I don't think either of them have anything, but there's a chance big blind could be slow playing aces or kings, something like that. All right, I'm not gonna bluff yet. I check back, and the turn is the 4 of clubs, giving me a flush draw. Big blind checks again, so now I definitely don't think this guy is a pair. The low jack bets $45, and it's on me. There's been a lot of weakness shown by everyone so far, so the low jack could just be making a move. I'm gonna put him to the test. I really don't think he has anything. Plus, I do have a flush draw to bail me out on the river. I raise to $150. Big blind folds, back to the low jack. He doesn't look too comfortable, but ends up making the call. I honestly think he would have bet a lot of his pocket pairs on the flop, so I think he might just be getting stubborn with ace high or possibly a flush draw like me. The river is another 6. Low jack checks. I have jack high. Clearly not the winning hand, but I don't think this guy has anything either. I mean, probably better than jack high, but still, I think I can get him to fold. I debate what sizing to take. I don't think I'm getting him to fold any pocket pairs, like ever, but missed flush draws, ace high, king high, I don't think it's gonna take that much. I slide out $100 and he makes the fold. Come on, it worked. Let's go. All right, we're finally building momentum here, and what better hand to continue than pocket aces? I'm in the cutoff. Hijack opens to $20. It's on me. Of course, I go for the 3 bet. I make it $60 and only the hijack calls. Heads up to a flop of queen 3-6, 2 diamonds. Beautiful. Looks like a pretty safe flop for me. I bet $60 and he makes the call. The turn is the jack of diamonds. I don't love it. The flush draw comes in. Jack queen also beats me now. He checks and it's on me. I debate between checking or betting. If I check and he has a better hand, I limit the amount I lose to whatever he bets on the river. However, I'll probably end up missing value from hands like king queen, ace queen, queen 10. I look at his stack. He has around $450 left. The pot is around $250. If he had $250 or less in his stack, easy jam right now. Let the chips fall where they may. If he had a lot more chips, I'd probably check for pot control, but as is, it's a weird amount. All right, I've made up my mind. I'm going for max value against hands like king queen or ace queen, especially with a diamond. I bet $200. If he has the flush, well, he's just getting my chips. He thinks about it, then goes all in for $465 total. I don't love it, but he could still be doing this with king, queen, ace, queen. I make the call, river's the 5 of hearts, and he shows ace 10 of diamonds for the flush. And we're back in the hole. A couple hands later, I pick up pocket nines in the low jack. I open at $20 and get called by the hijack and small blind. 3 ways to a flop of 10-8-4. Small blind checks. I'm not sure what to do here, but I could definitely have the best hand right now, so I go for a c-bet of $35. Both the hijack and small blind call, so I'm not feeling amazing, but the turn is a 9, giving me a set. My stack is still low from losing the aces hand, so I'm just thinking of the best way to get it all in. I bet $95, setting up a $150 jam on the river, but it doesn't get to that. The hijack goes all in for $1,000, and this is not good. I only have $150 behind, so of course I'm calling, but the fact that the hijack went all in when the small blind is still in the hand means one thing.
You got the straight.
But of course I hit the 10 on the river for the full house. My opponent does show Jack Queen for the straight, and I get a lucky one. Let's go. Come on, come on, come on. I'm gonna will this victory into existence. I pick up King Jack in the low jack. I make it $20 and get called by the hijack and the cutoff. Flop comes Queen Jack 7, 2 hearts. I flop middle pair. This time I choose to check, and luckily both my opponents check as well. Turn is a 9. Now I have a gut shot to go along with my pair. I think my opponents would have likely bet with a queen, so I'm feeling decent about my hand. I go for a bet now. I bet $45. Hijack calls, cutoff calls. The river is another queen. I like it. Makes it even less likely my opponents have a queen. None of the draws came in. I'm gonna go for some thin value. Small bet, $40, charging a weaker jack, maybe 9-10, something like that. Both my opponents fold though, and I scoop a nice little pot. I see a better table open up, so I switch, and lucky me, I get pocket queens on the button. There are 3 limpers, no limpy for me. I make it $35 to go. And then the under the gun limper goes all in for $185. Everyone else folds. I have an easy call, and we're off to a run out. Ace King 9, turn 8, river 7. My opponent shows ace 3 off.
NANI?
Come on! All right, it's been 5.5 hours. I'm down $350. What a time to be alive. I pick up Jack 6 of spades in the big blind. There's a straddle, the hijack limps, cutoff limps, it's on me. This straddler is not the type to squeeze often. I have a suited hand, I'll get in there. I limp, straddle checks, and we're 4 ways to a flop of deuce 6-7. I have middle pair, that's something I guess. There's a decent chance I have the best hand. I wouldn't recommend this, but I lead out with a bet of $35. Just want to take it down now, but the hijack makes the call. The turn is a jack. I got lucky. I have 2 pair now. There are a ton of draws on this board, so I'm going to bet big, $100, nearly the size of the pot. But then the hijack goes all in for $350. It doesn't feel so good. Does he have a set? I don't think I can fold 2 pair. Please, please, one time I call. River is a 7, and my opponent shows deuce 5 of hearts for a pair and missed flush draw. Let's go, come on. Played for a little after that, but 6 hours, $78 profit. It's been a struggle, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a struggle. Hope you enjoyed the video. Watch me grind the 5-5. Until next time, I'll see ya.